Hello, and thank you for visiting Graphene Business Law. If you've seen the new Netflix docu-series called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? And we're wondering what a real lawyer actually thinks about everything that unfolded in the series and subsequently in real life leading to the series, well then this video is for you. In today's video, as a business lawyer specifically, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on what was, a contract law case through and through in terms of the offer made by Pepsi or the offer perceived to be made by Pepsi and the lawsuit that ended up arising and made it all the way up to the Supreme Court of the United States. So, who am I? My name is Pamela Metani. I'm the founder and principal lawyer here at Graphene Business Law, a law firm in Ontario, Canada, offering business law services to entrepreneurs and small business owners. And if you're in Ontario, of course, we're able to serve you virtually throughout the province. For those that are new to the YouTube channel, go ahead and click on the red subscribe button down below. And of course, feel free to give this video a thumbs up. Now, I usually try to not be involved or not comment too much on law shows, and part of the reason, to be honest, is because I try my best to avoid watching law shows. I think as somebody that's always wanted to be a lawyer, these shows, they had their time and place for me. They were exciting when I was a child. They were intriguing when I started to learn more about law, and I think certain monumental, law moments in Hollywood, like Legally Blonde, whether we're male or female or, anybody watching that show, it's going to get us hyped up into like the world of law, or certain law shows. Suits, I think, was one of them. Good Wife, Good Lawyer. You can tell how much of these things I usually watch. But point being, I know these shows are out there. There was a time and place when they excited me too, and they really don't anymore. To be honest, it's like a suck at this point, like a brain suck when you see these shows as a practitioner. All you notice is like all the things that aren't true and all the things that are not just blatantly false, but so unrealistic and so improbable. And there's so many holes with the shows that it truly does become hard to watch. I've heard the same thing, when scientists watch certain sci-fi films and they're watching things that are impossible, but they're being fed to millions of people as being possible. That's why we're putting them in movies, or when doctors see the doctor shows. So I know I'm not the only one that feels that way, but something about the Pepsi series was a bit nostalgic for me, because of course it featured commercials that many of us have seen in our lives. The Pepsi moment in time trying to catch up to Coca-Cola, doing their best. Of course, they were involving celebrities in ad campaigns, like the biggest celebrities at the time. And then they thought of this ingenious campaign to offer Pepsi points, basically, that you could then use to buy Pepsi merchandise. So what would happen every time you purchased like a Pepsi product, you would get some point value for that purchase, and those points could eventually be translated into, for example, 10 points for a hat, 40 points for a sweater, and so on and so forth. And they ended up airing this commercial that eventually featured, at the end of the commercial, featured, I'm pretty sure it was a military jet, a military fighter plane of some sort. And the point value was something, it was a high number. It was, I believe, 7 million points or something like that. As the case ended up going, all the way to the Supreme Court, the argument was that Pepsi made this offer that to whoever accumulated these points, they would be given the jet, just as it was very clear at the beginning of the commercials that whoever earned, for example, 10 points for a hat would be able to be given that hat, and there wouldn't be questions about the seriousness of this offer or anything like that. And so the logic followed by Leonard, who was the person bringing the case forward, that that the 7 million points, just as the 10 points and 40 points and 50 points and 100 points could be redeemed, so should the 7 million be able to be redeemed, because it's the same exact train of thought. You know, you get the points, they're giving you the offer, hey, if you buy our products and you gather these points, we are going to give you this thing in return for however many points you have. You accept that offer by acting in accordance to what it's told you. You go out there, you purchase the product, you get the points, and you see where this is going. And the consideration on both sides, obviously, there's one party that's purchasing the Pepsi products and one party that's giving this gift of some sort, although perhaps not really a gift, because you're literally paying for it by purchasing Pepsi products. That was the only way to gather these points. And when it came time for the fighter jet, John Leonard said, well, hey, you know, I actually put together these 7 million points. So Pepsi, where's my jet? That's the title of the series. If you're not in the field of law, or you're very young to the field of law, for example, a law student, this is one of those cases that's going to go at the core of what might be a sense of justice you have, or a sense of what's right and wrong. What do I mean by that? I think, you know, I'm able to, despite being a lawyer of many years, I'm able to put myself outside of that lens and think, if I saw this commercial, I would, you know, fantasize about gathering up those points and trading it for a jet. And to do that, fair and square, I'm keeping on my end of the deal. I'm going through so many Pepsi products and so much money's worth of Pepsi purchases to gather these points. And then when I knock on the door for the product, I'm told, wait, this was all a joke, or something to that effect. That does violate my sense of justice as a human being, okay? That's not right as a human being. I'm not commenting as a lawyer right now. However, and even as a law student, there were these cases we saw in law school that they didn't make sense on the facts of the case. They didn't make sense with the laws we were taught to apply and what the outcome of the case ended up being, okay? But then they made sense big picture. And what do I mean by that? The missing clue, sort of, and any law student watching this or any lawyer watching this, by the way, shout out to all the lawyers that have already put videos out on this. You know, that was really fun to see other practitioners and what they think. But any lawyer watching this, I think, is going to know what that mystery word that bridges together what ends up being mystery case decisions is. And that word is policy, right? Policy reasons. When you think about it that way and put that hat on, we're talking about this mega multinational global corporation. So it's not that there's no chance to win against guys like this, but the incentive for the decision maker, judge, jury, whatever the case may be, in cases of an opponent of that scale, the incentive to find against them, first of all, is really low. And the bar in fighting against them, that threshold in fighting against them, even clear-cut cases, for policy reasons, what we end up seeing with them is that there is incentive from the court to sort of twist as much as they can to try and not find against this huge party, okay? And we see this from the beginnings of time with, in Canada, America, England, it's a common law setup, common law. These are common law jurisdictions. We see this since the beginning of time. You know, in Canada and the US, there's some cases that many of us in law school didn't feel were decided right against large players like railroads and coal companies and mining companies and electricity companies, just really big guys, really big players. And the reason that, you know, the way it was explained to us and the way that we continue to observe as practitioners in the real world, you know, like I said, when there's that mystery, when things aren't really making sense, it does come down to policy. I mean, to find against these guys that are employing so many people, contributing to the economy directly through cash, through capital, but also contributing to labor markets, you know, employing so many people that are contributing, you know, to geography and space. Like, they become landmarks, you know, Pepsi headquarters, Coca-Cola headquarters, whatever railroad like main stations and headquarters and attractions and museums and tourism money and all of this all of these, whether we like it or not, contributions from some companies that sometimes are referred to as the bad guys. I'm not commenting on that here, but what is objective about those guys is their size. And with size comes a pretty big swing in power. And whether we like it or not, even those people that are looked at, or those companies that are looked at as bad guys, do end up doing a lot for the economy, and a lot for the political spheres, and a lot for, like I mentioned, you know, environmental swings can go either way, but tourism, employment, all of these industries, I mean, even food and diet in the case of Pepsi and Coca-Cola and companies like that, or, you know, necessary like heat and protection back in the cold days and mining days, transportation with the railroad companies to find against, you know, some of the very first forms of transportation we had, or there were some cases with giants in the concrete industry. Like, these are mega players, and for all those reasons I've just mentioned, fighting against them would be really hard. And that's kind of my 2 cents on the Pepsi Where's My Jet series. For anybody watching it that's not a lawyer and is thinking, well, like, this guy was screwed, he was scammed, he should have obviously won the case, because nobody would think, Pepsi would not make its argument, you know, Pepsi might not necessarily make the same argument if this was all a joke if somebody goes there with 10 points and wants to claim a hat, right? But the stakes are, the ante is upped when we are talking about this, you know, mega redemption of 7 million points to win a fighter jet. I mean, it's the same formula. You put in the points, you get out the product. But with the company, you know, this big in size, they didn't end up liking the angle that was taken by John Leonard. They didn't end up liking that he took them seriously. And then, you know, the justice system does its best to balance not only the facts at stake or the facts at hand, but also the big picture, which includes policy reasons, right? It includes those things we can't necessarily point to right away, but that are always there in the background and that are there making a really big difference. I'll end the video there. That was my thoughts on the series. I'm not going to comment on like the characters or anybody's personal life or anything like that. A fun series and interesting to learn about some of the people involved on a personal level. But of course, as a lawyer, I'm commenting here on the legal angle. You know, I know a lot of people are surprised to this day that John Leonard lost that case, because how could he have, right? From if you're not aware of these policy reasons and everything lingering in the background. But now that you are, that's my comments. And it's not to say, by the way, that I'm not commenting on the justice system itself either in this video. I'm not commenting on, you know, whether this decision was right or wrong. I wanted to bring awareness to persons that might not be so well immersed in law as myself, and, you know, fellow lawyers and fellow practitioners, that there is more than meets the eye when these really big decisions are made. And you know, owing in part to policy reasons, that's why I believe this decision ended up going in favor of Pepsi at the highest level of court. So thank you for watching. If you like this kind of video, if you like the commentaries on real life affairs and everything going on out there, you know, I know we've covered some Hollywood cases in this channel. If you want more coverage on, you know, the Netflix specials and the law specials, let me know in the comments. Of course, if you're a business person, an entrepreneur, small business owner in Ontario looking for legal help with, at the end of the day, this was commentary on a contract case. So if you've got your own contracts you want to have looked after, you'll be in good hands with Graphene Business Law. As our motto states, we do all business all the time. So you can contact us anytime at info@graphenebusinesslaw, info@graphenebusinesslaw.ca, and our website, graphenebusinesslaw.ca. We're here to help, and thank you for watching.